Alrighty guys, welcome back to Star Wars Review. Today I'm reviewing The Bad Batch Season 2 Episode 12, The Outpost, which was directed by Nathaniel Villanueva and Brad Rao, and written by Jennifer Corbett, and was released on March 8th, 2023, which I thought was an amazing episode. Maybe one of my favorites of the season so far, but it's another Crosshair episode, which has only been one other Crosshair episode this season, which is also one of my favorites. I feel like I say most of the weeks, or most of the episodes, it's one of my favorites. I've, been enjoying the season a good bit. Definitely when you look at the episodes individually, when the season, without the season is going, I will say they're, when the season's over, I'll see, but I'll get into this more in a full season review. I will say maybe there is it's maybe a little too, adventure of the week, but I'll get into that later. But I don't really want to talk about that because this episode was really great. I really loved it. And some of the reasons I liked it a lot was because it was a slower one that kind of, does start to dive more and more into how the Empire is treating clones, after the Clone War, and then definitely after the events of Episode 8, when the Senate set in motion the, kind of getting rid of the clones. And so we, see Crosshair kind of start to experience it, but also kind of he gets to see firsthand also how another clone gets treated. So, I really enjoyed that. And this is kind of maybe Crosshair's tipping point, where he finally is turning on the Empire. I'll get into that more later. When it comes to that, I'm not sure if he's fully against the Empire, but he's probably definitely against how they're doing the things, doing stuff with the clones and whatnot. But the episode starts on Coruscant, where Crosshair's waiting for this Imperial lieutenant to show up, which he finally does, and his name is Nolan. But right out of the gate, he's straight up clones. Really makes his disdain for clones very open. But their mission is to go to this snowy planet called Barton 4, where I guess some high value cargo is being kept in this base. But they keep getting attacked by some local resurgents, so they have to head there to, collect the cargo and help out the base and whatnot. But they get there where they don't find really anyone, so they head inside where they find 3 clones, who are the only clones left guarding the base, as all the other ones have died because of those raiders who've been attacking the base, which we see Nolan kind of tell off those clones, which the main one was Mayday. The other ones were Havoc and Vetch or something. I didn't write them down. I think that's what their names were. But Mayday says he asked for reinforcements and they never came. Which through this conversation, Mayday kind of ends up just telling Nolan off. He questions how many missions he's commanded and whatnot, which Nolan doesn't have any answer for. But Mayday sends those other 2 clones to get Nolan settled in. And so we see Mayday introduce himself to Crosshair and then show him around the outpost and whatnot, which outside, Crosshair is asking him about who's been attacking, and Mayday says this locals, which Crosshair wonders how they're getting past the sensors and other defenses and whatnot, which Mayday says that the weather has kind of, made some of these sensors and whatnot unreliable. But during this conversation, they get an alert that some raiders have entered the outpost, so we see them split up. Crosshair heads to a tower so he can, snipe. But during this, the raiders blow up one of the shuttles, which kills those other 2 clones stationed at the outpost. But Crosshair is able to shoot one raider, which he then goes and finds a trail of blood leading to a cave, which, the blood is obviously from that raider Crosshair shot. But Mayday finds him and tells Crosshair that the raiders fled on a snow skiff and whoever else probably on foot, which Crosshair says that he's wrong, showing him the trail of blood, which Mayday then realizes that's how they're being past the outpost's defenses by going through this cave, what's right by the outpost, which I do wonder how they never noticed that. But later we see Mayday mourning the loss of his clone brothers, which Nolan comes in and kind of tells him off once again for just standing around, which Nolan tells him to get their squad and go after the cargo, which Mayday is like, they're dead. And he asks for Nolan's men, which Nolan refuses, and tells them that they have to go for the cargo themselves, which they do. We then see them back in that cave following that trail, which they eventually find the dead body of the raider, which while looking at the body, Mayday kind of says he doesn't know what bothers him more, that they're wearing stolen clone armor or that the other raiders just left him there, which Crosshair says, no need to carry dead weight, which Mayday says to remind him not to die on Crosshair's watch. But they get deeper into the cave where Crosshair eventually steps on a mine, which Mayday then, knows how to defuse it, so he starts doing it. And during this, Mayday talks about the war, asks what squad Crosshair was a part of, which Crosshair first doesn't want to answer, but eventually does with Clone Force 99, which Mayday asks what happened to them, which Crosshair just says that they're gone, which Mayday says, now here they are, the survivors, babysitting cargo instead of being soldiers, which I really like this moment. Just, a moment which should be pretty tense, but, Mayday, isn't tense up or anything, just kind of talks about stuff, kind of talking about some disdain he has for the Empire and whatnot. It was a nice, slower moment, but he disarms it and tells Crosshair to step off of it slowly after he walks away around the bend. So just in case he messed up, he doesn't get blown up, which I found that being a nice funny moment, but Crosshair steps off and it's fine. But then they get out of the cave and find the, base of those raiders, which is like on the side of the mountain, and like there's a little like cave, not cave, I forget what it would be called. It's like in a mountain, I don't know, I forget what it's called, but they go and attack them, which they take out a couple, but more and more just keep coming. So Crosshair sees some explosives and he shoots them, which causes a cave-in on the side of the mountain place thingy, which kills all the raiders. But afterwards they start to collect up the cargo, which is when they figure out his just armor for the TK troopers, which upsets Mayday because, he's, risked his life, all of his men are dead just to, defend some equipment they could have used when defending that equipment, and that it's also just for their, the army, what's replacing them. And he, Mayday says that they were good soldiers and they followed orders. But because of that cave-in, an avalanche starts, which pins Crosshair and Mayday under the snow, which Crosshair is able to get out of it easily, but he needs to dig up Mayday, who is still alive. So Crosshair puts Mayday's helmet on him and starts to carry him and head back to the outpost, which seems like it maybe takes at least over a day because it comes in like morning, then night, and then morning. So quite a long time. But, I just really love this moment. Score is great, the visuals are great. But also like how it kind of goes back to the moment earlier. Crosshair talked about dead weight and being, expendable, which, kind of shows how much, in the little bit amount of time Crosshair spent with Mayday, how much Mayday, made an impression on him, that he's willing to risk his life to save him. But also shows the differences between, the clones and obviously the Raiders and also the Empire, as we'll see in a moment, because Crosshair and Mayday do eventually get back to the outpost where we see the Imperials loading all that cargo, but Nolan sees and goes over to them and tells them that it's about time that they got back, which Crosshair is just asking for a medic for Mayday, which Nolan says no, saying that they failed their mission and that it would be a waste of resources to help a failure, which Crosshair tries to get him to help, but it's too late as Mayday dies right then and there, which Nolan says that Mayday served his purpose, which Crosshair says, you could have saved him, which Nolan is like, Mayday was expendable, and, he tells Crosshair that if he speaks up one more time, he'll make sure that he meets a similar fate to Mayday's, and then tells him to get back to work, which he then walks away. But after a moment, Crosshair calls for him, which Nolan turns around and is shocked, which we see Crosshair shoot and kill him, which the TK troopers then run over to deal with Crosshair, but Crosshair passes out. But once again, I love this moment. Like I just was talking about, how Crosshair didn't feel Mayday was expendable, but we see that Nolan, and therefore the Imperials, he just straight up admits it, that he views the clones as expendable. But, it was also a moment where I think Crosshair realizes that, just because, he's following orders doesn't mean he'll have a special treatment. He will eventually have the same fate as Mayday if he continues to work for the Empire. Obviously, I don't know if he's fully against the Empire. I definitely feel like he probably is for how they treat clones. I'm not sure if he, how he truly thinks now how the Empire is doing things outside of the stuff with, treating clones. We'll just have to wait and see. But eventually, Crosshair wakes up on what I'm assuming is Mount Tantus, because he's in this operating room, and he gets greeted by Emery, I think was her name, which she was Dr. Hemlock's assistant, which Crosshair asks, where he is, which Emery just says that she's holding him to do some tests, and if he cooperates, he'll survive, which she then shoots him up with something which makes him pass out once again, and that's where the episode ends, which, like I said, I love this episode. Loved finally seeing Crosshair stand up against the Empire. Like I said, I'm not fully sure if he's, if it's just the clones or if it's more. I'm feeling like it's just the clones right now. But I'm also interested in the ending scene. I wonder why they took him to Mount Tantus and why Hemlock would want him. My best guess is to maybe find the Bad Batch. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But, this episode was one of my favorites. I do feel like I've been saying that a lot this season, but I've enjoyed it a good bit. Like I did mention at the start, I do feel like maybe this episode or this season has been maybe a little too adventure of the week. It maybe hasn't been, continuing the broad story as consistently, but I've enjoyed the adventures of the weeks a lot, so I've been fine with it. Like I said, I'll get into that more when the season ends, and obviously also how the rest of the episodes play out. Obviously, I was recording this, episode 13 is already out, but by the time this goes up, episode 14 will already probably be out. But so yeah. But anyways, but back to this episode, I just really loved it. I thought the visuals and score were great too. Really liked that. But yeah, my grade, I'm gonna give this one an A. So yeah, but that's gonna be it for this one. You can check out my reviews on the first 11 episodes. Like I just said, episode 13 is already out. And by the time this one goes out, episode 14 will probably also be out. So you can check those out. My reviews for episodes 13 and 14 probably soon, probably tomorrow. I'll probably maybe try to get those out, but you can check those out then. But in the meantime, I've been Sarzu, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
The Empire's growing stronger. We should be doing more.
You want to really be free? Then pull off this heist, and you can have a future.
Rumors are more and more clones have been questioning the Order.
Then they are traitors, like